جمالك يا الخرطوم يا اللي عندي جمالك جنة رضوان. طول عمري ما شفت مثالك، طول عمري ما شفت مثالك في أي مكان. أنا هنا شبيت يا وطني زيك ما لقيت يا وطني. أنا هنا شبيت.
From Sudanese Sufi Figures, الشيخ أرباب العقائد 1608-1691. Our documentary journey through the lives of the great figures of Sufism in Sudan continues. Today, we meet one of the country's most distinguished and influential scholars, a man whose legacy left a profound mark on Sudan's religious, social, and cultural history. In our presence today, Sheikh Ahmed ibn Ali, famously known as Arbab al-Aqaid, the scholar to whom the foundation of Khartoum is traditionally attributed. He established a unique educational institution that produced generations of eminent scholars, jurists, and Sufi leaders who shaped religious and social life in Sudan for centuries. Among his most renowned disciples were Sheikh Hamad Wad Marium, Sheikh Wajil Abu Jaz, Sheikh Idris Wad Al-Arbab, Sheikh Farah Wad Taktuk, and the celebrated historian Muhammad Nur Wad Fallah. One of his greatest intellectual contributions was his famous work الجواهر الحسان في تحقيق أركان الإيمان, The Beautiful Pillars on Verifying the Pillars of Faith, a rare and influential treatise on Islamic creed that is spread widely throughout Sudan and many Muslim regions of Africa. In this session, we explore his life story, scholarly achievements, educational legacy, and significance of his celebrated book. So it is my great pleasure the audience welcoming you to a new episode with a new Sufi personality. And as you listen in our presence today, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid. Stay with us.
يا بلد أحبابي في وجودي أريدك غيابي.
So the audience, as you listen our journey across time, across history, with the intention of providing introduction, presentation to Sudanese prominent Sufi figures is the focus of our meeting today. And as we listen in our presence, one of Sudan's celebrated Sufi figures, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid. So before we go further here, I would like to share part of his biography. And I would like to start with his lineage and early life. His biography informs that he is Sheikh Ahmed ibn Ali ibn Arbab ibn Ali ibn Aoun ibn Amir. His lineage ends with the Prophet companion Ubay ibn Ka'b, and in Sudan he belongs to the noted clan Mahas. He was born on Tuti Island in 1608 during the reign of Ribat ibn Badeh, Sultan of the Fon Kingdom, and Sheikh Muhammad al-Aqil ibn Sheikh Ajib al-Manjuluk, leader of the Abdullah. Sheikh Ahmed Arbab al-Aqaid acquired several titles during his lifetime. He became known as Arbab al-Aqaid because of his exceptional mastery of teaching, of Islamic theology, Aqidah, and his authorship of a celebrated theological text in the very same field. He was also known as Arbab al-Khishin, referring to the roughness of his skin caused by frequent ablutions during cold winters. Additionally, he was called Ahmad al-Awnabi after the Awn branch of the Mahas tribe. And in this concern, the Mahas are a well-known Sudanese community historically recognized for their dedication to Quranic education, Islamic scholarship, and agriculture along the Nile Valley. They produce many distinguished scholars throughout Sudanese history. The Mahas families enjoyed the prestigious status during the French Sultanate and were exempted from certain taxes out of respect for their scholars. His homeland. Arbab al-Aqaid homeland was Tuti Island, located at the confluence of the Blue Nile and White Nile in present-day central Khartoum. The island had been inhabited since approximately 1480 by his ancestors. His teachers and scholarly formation. Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid memorized the Quran at the age of 10. He studied jurisprudence under Sheikh Zain ibn Sughayroun and theology under Sheikh Ali ibn Barri, who recognized his extraordinary intellectual abilities and encouraged him to teach after his own death. The chain of theological transmission extended from Ali ibn Barri to Sheikh Hussein Abu Sha'ra, then to Sheikh Muhammad ibn Isa ibn Suwar al-Dahab, who had learned from a Moroccan scholar originating from Telmisan in present-day Algeria. So as you listen, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid started his earliest religious education at Khalwa, and he came to the memorization of the Holy Quran at the age of 10. And then he continued his journey with religious education, for he had received his studies in Maliki jurisprudence under Sheikh Zain ibn Sughayroun, and furthermore he studied theology under Sheikh Ali ibn Barri. Widespread fame. Following the death of his teacher, Sheikh Ali ibn Barri, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid became the foremost authority on Islamic theology in Sudan. He took over the mantle of teaching, and his reputation quickly spread across vast regions. Students traveled great distances to study under him, and the number of his disciples surpassed 1,000, arriving from the French Sultanate and extending all the way to the kingdom of Borno in West Africa. His writings. His most celebrated work was الجواهر الحسان في تحقيق معرفة أركان الإيمان, the beautiful pillars, in verifying the knowledge of the pillars of faith. This book gained widespread acceptance throughout Eastern and Western Africa and considered one of the most important theological texts written by Sudanese during French Sultanate era. His educational center in Khartoum, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid initially taught at Tuti Old Mosque and maintained a nearby Quranic school, Khalwa. Later, he moved his educational institution to the mainland of Khartoum, which at that time was largely an uninhabited forest. According to historical accounts, he cleared the land, built his khalwa, and gradually attracted students and followers through the blessing of Quranic education and scholarship. The area eventually developed into what became the city of Khartoum. The educational center was first constructed from wood and straw before later being built with more durable materials. Today, its location corresponds to the famous Arbab al-Aqaid Mosque in central Khartoum, also known as the King Farouk Mosque. The story of his departure from Tuti. Historical traditions narrated that a boat carrying students on their way to study at his school sank in the Nile. This incident contributed to his decision to relocate his institution from Tuti Island to mainland Khartoum. Another account suggests that social circumstances within Tuti encouraged him to seek a new location better suited for teaching and spiritual leadership. His students. Under the school of Arbab al-Aqaid, many Sudanese prominent and eminent future scholars and Sufi guides have been graduated. So his disciples included some of Sudan's most influential scholars and Sufi leaders. Many of them later established major centers of learning that contributed significantly to the growth of Khartoum and the spread of Islamic education throughout Sudan. And among his celebrated student, Sheikh Khojali Abu Jaz. And by the way, Sheikh Khojali Abu Jaz is one of the prominent Sudanese Shazali Sufi scholar, and to him attributed the establishment of Hillat Khojali. So this is indication to the social contribution of Sufism and Sufi leaders. So here we have just an example. Hillat Khojali has been established due to the efforts of Sheikh Khojali Abu Jaz, who in turn is students of Arbab al-Aqaid. Another significant and important student, Sheikh Hamad al-Dumaryom. And Sheikh Hamad al-Dumaryom, by the way, very significant and outstanding Sudanese Sufi, and he considers one of the advocates of women rights. Mainly his stance behind his rejection and opposition to their circumcision, and for him further attributed the establishment of Hillat Hamad, another contribution to Sufis on the establishment of suburbs from a site that in fact taken it part of Khartoum suburbs and neighborhood. Among his students, furthermore, is Muhammad Nur al-Difallah. And Muhammad Nur al-Difallah, as a matter of fact, is the first Sudanese to write a book, and that is a book of Tabagat al-Difallah, a book that records, recorded the lives of the Sudanese during the 16th century. And among his notable students, furthermore, the wise man of Sudan, Sheikh Farah al-Taktuk. So Sheikh Farah al-Taktuk, we presented him in more than 8 episodes, is considered one of notable and eminent students of Arbab al-Aqaid, and he is known among Sudan with his brilliant smartness, known with his wise wisdom.
كانت أيام يا وطني هي الأحلام يا وطني كانت أيام يا وطني هي الأحلام يا وطني كانت أيام يا وطني زي الأحلام يا وطني في وجودي.
His offsprings, Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid had been blessed with 7 sons: Musati, Farah, Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Madani, Muhammad, and with 1 daughter named Raya. Succession and historical challenges. Leadership of his institution in Khartoum passed first to his son Musati and then to his son Farah. Throughout history, the successors of Arbab al-Aqaid in Khartoum became known by the honorary title Khalifat al-Khartoum, the successor of Khartoum. And the successor of Khartoum here indicate that the establishment of the city is attributed to Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid himself, and because of this, his son succeeded him as Caliphate during that earliest period of time. I'm referring here to 16th century. So each one of his sons come to assume the carpet or to assume the Caliphate is known as Khalifat al-Khartoum.
شبيت يا وطني زيك ما لقيت يا وطني أنا هنا شبيت يا وطني.
His migration to Sinnar and his passing away. In 1689, Sultan Badi al-Ahmar ibn Unsa invited Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid to Sinnar to help reform judicial affairs within the Fon Kingdom. So as you know, Sinnar Kingdom, that is referring to the Black Sultanate or to Sinnar or Fon Kingdom or Fon state, has been established as a modern Sudanese state in 1505 and ended in the year 1821 as a result of the invasion of the Turkish troops. So during the year 1689, Arbab al-Aqaid had been invited to visit Sinnar and to stay there so as to help and to assist in reforming judiciary affairs. So before reaching Sinnar, he briefly stayed in al-Bashagra, where he married into a respected local family and had been blessed with his righteous son Muhammad. He later arrived in Sinnar and remained there for 2 years before passing away in 1691. His grave remains well known there in the city up to the present time. So dear audience, this is just our first encounter with Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid, and to him they told many contributions have been attributed. Among these, the establishment, the foundation of Khartoum as a city, and then his establishment to school known as School of Arbab al-Aqaid, from which so notable and eminent Sudanese future religious leaders and reformers have been graduated, and to his credit furthermore, one of the noted written texts, that is the book of Al-Jawahir, which is targeting the speech on Aqidah, theology, and Ilm al-Kalam. So this, by the way, considers one of the great achievements and contribution, as I told, putting in consideration that our figure lived during 16th century. That means during Fonja Sultanate, and to write a book during that era is a credit for. We have recognized that three major books have been noted here. The first one is that of Tabagat wa Difallah, written by Muhammad Nur al-Difallah, and the second one is Katib al-Shuna, which been referred to Ahmed ibn al-Hajj Abu Ali. And then here we have Al-Jawahir, the book of Al-Jawahir, which, as I told, targeting the speech on Aqidah and attributed to Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid. So to present this episode, the audience, I relied solely on Al-Jawahir al-Hisan في تحقيق معرفة أركان الإيمان, authored by Arbab al-Aqaid. Just I have taken the biography of Sheikh Arbab al-Aqaid from this book. Till seeing you in another episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
بذكر فيك عهد صبايا على شاطئ النيل وحبيبي حساني معايا أسمر يمين كانت أيام يا وطني الأحلام يا وطني كانت أيام يا وطني زي الأحلام يا وطني كانت أيام يا وطني زي الأحلام يا وطني في وجودي أريد